Hello and welcome. My name is James MacNeil. You're at mentalmma.com and we're talking predictions. UFC 110 taking place in Australia. Very exciting. First time in Australia. Quick sellout, 1 hour. Boom. Very exciting. Now I'm only going to talk about the first two fights in this card because I want to spend more time on a few people to really bring the emotional intelligence factors to bear. There are some things that are physical that I will refer to, but I do want to provide hopefully rational and helpful input on these fights. So top two fights, that's all we're talking about here. Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, also known as Minotauro Nogueira, fighting Cain Velasquez. I'm calling this tenacious versus relentless. Tenacious because Nogueira has been known to survive anything and everything. He has been hit, he's been this, he's been that, literally, physically, and his childhood accident with it being run over by a truck. We're talking about a guy who is a survivor. We're talking about a guy who just does not quit. You've got to take this man out, and almost no one can do that. Otherwise, he's going to get you. One mistake and his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu will get you. So he's a very dangerous man, and he's also not as old as people are thinking. Now, he does seem to have the odds-on. He is the odds-on favorite, but a lot of people discount him for his age. They think of him as much older, and he appears older. He seems like a very mature person, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, and he's a tough guy. He's been through a lot, and the number of fights. I mean, look at this. The guy's got 32 wins. Who has 32 wins? So we're talking about a man who's got an amazing career over a long period of time, having fought the best, but he's not as old as people think. He's only 33. Cain Velasquez is 27. So we're not talking about a giant age difference at 33. We know that's young. Randy Couture, I know he's mutant as far as how healthy he is at his age. He's 46. But we're talking about a 33-year-old man. He's healthy, he's young, he's strong. The physical ailments, some things that had hindered him before his fight with Frank Mir are in the past. His striking looked sharp against Randy Couture, and he's been really working on his wrestling to be able to deal with Cain Velasquez. He's brought in Mark Munoz, and Mark is just an amazing MMA fighter and wrestler, and you would have seen him 108, I believe it was, on January the 2nd. Great fight, great fighter, and he's been helping Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira with his wrestling. Okay, so he's looking great. Cain Velasquez, however, is looking destructive. He is relentless. He attacks and he doesn't let up. Now, it's true that Nogueira doesn't give up, but Velasquez doesn't let up. He attacks. He has that kind of aggression, and being the wrestler, he decides whether this is on the feet or on the ground. He's the one who gets to make that decision as a superior wrestler. I believe, even though Nogueira may have been trained in it, developing it, I believe Velasquez is the wrestler. So he's going to decide whether this is standing or on the ground. He would be cautious not to take it to the ground unless he has to, because one mistake and Nogueira is going to get him. Interesting fight breakdown. So what are the factors that I'm going to go to? Well, let's talk about physical. Physical, Cain Velasquez also has the speed advantage, I believe, the strength advantage, I believe, and the conditioning advantage, I believe. These matter. Now, I talked to the emotional intelligence factors, but these are tools that may come to bear. What else should I say on this one? Okay. So when it comes to motivation, when it comes to confidence, I don't believe there's anything telling here. I believe both of them are very confident, not too confident, not, lacking in confidence. Both of them have almost perfect pitch in their confidence levels. I'm very, very impressed with that. Motivation. Although Nogueira is a pro who's always motivated, he wants that belt back. There's a lot of excellent motivation inside of him. Cain Velasquez, I give the edge in motivation. He's got that hungry young lion thing going on. And 7-0, he's on the roll. He's got the momentum. He's on the move. And I actually, because of that, give the edge to Cain Velasquez. Now, I know if he makes one mistake, he can lose this fight, but that's not uncommon in MMA because there's so many ways to win and so many ways to lose. And I understand that Nogueira has a million ways to win because he's that good, but I still believe that Cain Velasquez superior strength, speed, conditioning, and that unbelievable motivation role that he's on, I believe they're going to count. And although it's a close fight, although it could easily go either way, my prediction is Cain Velasquez is going to win this fight. And I wouldn't be shocked if it was a first round. I don't mean that as any kind of disrespect. It's just his style can really end fights quickly. So if it goes his way, it could do so quickly. Okay, if you asked me how, I would say ground and pound in the first round. Now, moving on. But anyways, great fight, by the way. No matter who wins, we all win in that first fight, Nogueira and Velasquez. Great fight. Moving on, Wanderlei Silva, Michael Bisping. Wanderlei Silva is 33 also, same age as Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. And Michael the Count Bisping is 30 years old. So no dramatic age difference. As far as confidence, both of them have it. No problem in confidence. There could be some things that would affect Wanderlei Silva's confidence. The fact that he's fighting at 185 for the first time. He dropped down to 195 for his fight with Rich Franklin, and weight cut was a problem for him. So that could affect him. It could affect him that he had a layoff a lot of time, and it could affect him that he had an operation to take out a lot of the scar tissue. It could have. My read on him is it hasn't. I don't believe any of these things have affected his confidence. Now, there might be a physiological challenge with that weight cut, but as far as confidence, I don't believe there's any problem there. I would say both of them have all the confidence they need, and I would normally say not too much confidence, but Michael Bisping, there was a quote where he said Rampage Jackson has taught him how to take out Wanderlei Silva, because Rampage, of course, lost twice against Wanderlei and then came back and won once. And so Rampage has told Michael Bisping that he's going to knock him out easily. He's going to beat him easily, that there's no problem. There's no problem. And we've seen Rampage Jackson talk to fighters and tell them they can't lose on The Ultimate Fighter, and almost all of his fighters lost. There's a dangerous thing in mixed martial arts of getting too confident and being told you can't lose, it's going to be easy. That's a dangerous way to talk to a fighter, in my opinion. And the evidence would suggest that my opinion is based on rational thought and evidence. So that concerns me a bit, that he has been told repeatedly by someone he respects that he will easily beat Wanderlei Silva. So I think that's a bit of a overconfidence. It could be an overconfidence problem for Michael Bisping, but other than that, confidence, it looks good on both of them. What else should I say on this one? Okay, so then now for the mental game as far as the mind game. Now, here's what's happened. Michael Bisping has tried to be really polite this time. He's tried to watch his mouth and not trash talk and not to come off as someone that people find somewhat unlikable. And so he's really been trying, and you could see he wants to say stuff, and he's not saying things. He is saying the right things. He's talking about how much he respects him, how much Wanderlei Silva is an amazing fighter who has a storied career, and everyone should respect him, obviously. And he's saying the right things. He's saying, I don't fear the man, however. I do believe and he has the confidence. So he's saying a lot of the right things. His coach, however, was not as careful and has really trash talked and talked disrespectfully about Wanderlei Silva, the kind of thing that we used to hear from Michael. So I think it's still in him. He's just not saying it outwardly. That's just my opinion. Don't know for sure. But he is saying the right things, but you could see he just needs a nudge before he gets ticked off. And Wanderlei figured that out. Wanderlei Silva has been pushing his buttons, getting him mad, and it worked. If you ask me, it worked. Wanderlei Silva got under the skin of Michael Bisping. Michael Bisping is going to be swinging for the fences more than he should. He's going to go for it more than he should. Without that balance-wise, non-emotional approach, he can get himself into trouble, and I think that's what's going to happen. I predict a first-round knockout by Wanderlei Silva over Michael Bisping, because Michael Bisping may have too much confidence and he may have too much aggression. Those two things are a dangerous combination when you're in the cage with someone with the skill set of Wanderlei Silva. Those are my predictions. I'm predicting Cain Velasquez to win, possibly a first-round ground and pound, and Wanderlei Silva to win by knockout over Michael Bisping in the first round, because I believe Michael Bisping could get overconfident and could lose it. Now, it doesn't have to be first round. I'm merely saying, I'm guessing that Wanderlei Silva, because of the mind game success that he's had. This is going to be an exciting card. I'm looking forward to it all. That's UFC 110 coming from Australia on February the 20th, and I'll be watching at the local sports bar, having a ball with my friends. We might videotape some stuff from there. Hopefully this has been helpful, and I look forward to speaking with you again. James MacNeil, Mental MMA, your information source for the mental game of mixed martial arts. Talk to you soon.